Hi, welcome again. Well, let me continue where we have left, and I have told you that, basically, the addition of individual demand can be also seen on this graph, and basically, that addition is called the horizontal addition of addition, basically. That's because basically when we are adding, note that this number, which is in this case for 850, is addition of this number, which is 20, and 30. So if we take this length and add it add it to this length, which is represented by the y-coordinate of the red curve, then we got to this point. Which is x-coordinate. Both were x-coordinates. X-coordinate of the green curve. So basically, we add x-coordinate of the red curve and x-coordinate of the blue curve to each other to find x-coordinate of the green curve. So we are horizontally adding the demand curves in that sense. Now, having seen how from individual demand curves we can get the market demand curve, and pretty much we need to do is, just as we have added two people's demand, we need to add, if we are talking about on a global market, for example, market for oil or market for cars, in that case we need to add demand of everyone in the world, of course, except the ones who cannot have individual demand, like the children. And we add all of them this way, basically, to get them total demand in a market. So, what is the main law, rule, or main laws and rules we can find for the individual demands of different goods for different people? Again, which more or less is true for all goods and all people, assuming, of course, the previous conditions are met. So here we are going to the first concept, which is defined with marginal. As I said, the models that are developed by the marginalists, as we have seen in the background part, have many concepts that are defined with that are kind of connected with this marginalism, or the value the variable takes at the very end point, in a way. So you will hear a lot of this marginal, that actually you will have marginal utility, marginal product, marginal cost, marginal revenue. At least those are the ones I remember. There might be more. So let's start with the marginal utility concept. Marginal utility is the utility a consumer gets from the last unit of the good consumed. If I buy, let's say 20 bottles of coffee, basically, per month, my monthly marginal utility I got from coffee is from the utility I got from the 10th bottle. Well, here I should tell you a little bit, let's say, detail. In advanced microeconomics, it's usually assumed also that all goods are infinitely divisible. That means I can buy, I don't need to buy one bottle of coffee. I can buy half a bottle, 1/10 of a bottle, 1,000th of a bottle, or well, let's say 100 5, for example, 9/10 of a bottle. Any quantity I can define it numerically, I can buy. In that case, of course, marginal utility becomes very small. I mean, infinitesimally small. Defined for infinitesimally small unit. In that case, basically, I have a utility function which shows you how much the total utility changes the more coffee I consume, and basically I look to the steepness of it. I mean, steepness will give the utility increase per unit increase in the quantity, which will be again very small. I mean, you can think infinitesimally small, like 1,000, 1,000,000th, whatever you might imagine. You might think very small. And basically, that steepness of the curve will give me the utility, the marginal utility. There's actually a mathematical way to take that marginal utility, which is called derivative. You might have heard of it, probably you have heard of it as engineers. But in this course, we are not going into detail of it, so we still assume that goods might not be infinitesimally divisible, which kind of makes things a little bit, let me say, it will decrease the preciseness of our conclusion, although more or less they will still hold. They won't hold precisely because this assumption is taken away. But in general, marginal utility can be calculated in this way. Let's say these are the number of coffees I buy for month. These are the total utilities. I got 20 units of utility. We don't have any meaningful measurement of utility, so we don't have any meaningful unit for the utility. I mean, we don't have any unit like kilogram. I have 20 kilograms of utility. We cannot say anything like that. But for the educational purposes, we have to, in some cases, assume the utility can be defined numerically. If we do it that way, we might assume by consuming one unit of coffee will give us 20 units of utility, 2 units of coffee, 38 units of utility, 3 units of coffee, 40 units of utility, 4 units of coffee, 68, and it goes on. In order to find marginal utility, I should find how much unit of utility each unit is adding to the total utility. In the first case, of course, if I don't have any coffee, I don't get any utility from coffee. So the marginal utility of the first unit is 20 minus 0, which is 20. Marginal unit of the second bottle of coffee is 38 minus 20, the utility the second bottle brings. Marginal utility of the third bottle is 54 minus 38. This is the marginal utility the third bottle brings. So this is pretty much how we calculate the marginal utility. I think it's very straightforward. Now, let me tell you how marginal utility concept is used by marginalists. There can be critiques to this way of use. I will briefly told you. Although in strict sense, I mean, still it might be true, and it might be have an explanatory power. But anyway, let me explain it. The early economists, actually, like Adam Smith has explicitly written on it, wrote why utility concept is useless, or the actually when we are trying to find out how much useful this item is to me, is useless when we are aiming to when we are trying to understand the prices of the goods. So, for example, they give this example: water is something that is very useful, very important for everyone. You cannot survive without water. While diamonds, they don't have any, well, for the basic life at least, they don't have any practical use. They don't make your, they don't meet any of your biological needs. Yeah, even when we're talking about the psychological needs, I mean, it might be only at the very upper end of the income level they might be useful to meet part of your psychological needs. In industry, it can be used for cutting. It is the hardest material, but its usefulness is considerably less when we consider average human beings compared with water. However, diamonds are more expensive than the water. Why? Why? Can there be an explanation for that? Now, Adam Smith's answer to this question was this. He said, look, this fact shows that the usefulness of the goods, which is he calls use value, the value of goods, the goods in use while you are using them, is different from the exchange value of the goods, the value they have when you actually go to the market and try to sell them. The value there is different from the value of those goods in use while you use them. Those two things, so he defines two different values, exchange value and use value, and he says they don't have any connection. So basically, what is the value exchange? What is the source of exchange value? The source of exchange value is, according to Adam Smith, the production costs. I mean, how much capital, how much labor, how much land the product needs determines the exchange value, not how much useful it is for the people. Well, marginalists answer the question, I actually built the connection in this way. They say, look, the value of the price of these two goods are not connected to their average use value. They are connected to the marginal use value of them. So even though initially when we consume our first units of water is very useful. The last use of water, once we drink it, once we clean our body with it, once we clean our house with it, basically each additional unit will become less useful compared with the first units. As a result, well, we come at a point when the last unit of water we use might be just for entertainment. Even, I mean, in Las Vegas, for example, they use water for shows. So that last unit might be, in that case, has a very small marginal value. And comparably, because diamonds are not that common, the last unit of diamond might be much more valuable than the last unit of water. And that might be the thing that makes the price of diamond higher than the price of water. I will talk more on this in the next part. See you in the next part.